Here's a couple that we start in production on. We take the bottom plate, we put the feed on, and this I can lift by myself. But once we put the heat sinks on, no ways I can lift it. These have all the cables underneath these covers, which connect the front to the back. Here is actual amplifier. Has his master heat sink on this side. With just one heat sink is a functional amplifier. He will still do the 1900 watts into 8 ohm, and he'll do 4 ohm, but he needs his extra heat sink. There are 96 output transistors. There's 48 on this heat sink, and there's 48 on this heat sink. And I'll show you the second heat sink. This, of course, is the power supply. I cover the meter because I don't want dust to get inside. So underneath there, because this is the mono, into these sockets, and I'll show you the assembly, is the actual heart of the amplifier over here. Stereo amp simply has a left channel and a right channel, and there's no board on top. They use the identical power supply, except the big capacitors are higher voltage for this mono, and the transformers have a tap on them to choose between for the two amplifiers. So that's a 3000 watt transformer. Now a 3000 watt traditional transformer is this big and this high and weighs probably 30 kilogram. What's this weighs? This here is the second heat sink. This is the cart on which all the testing is done. So there's all the 2000 watt load resistors with a meter, and I can switch the loads in and out. I can choose 4 ohm and 8 ohm. With these meters, I check the idling current of the amplifier. But this is where the actual testing is done. This little guy in the pretty pink is this outboard power supply. So I can control the voltage. This here is the test bench, and there. This is the audio precision. This is the computer controlled machine. Okay, so there's the panel where I can control everything that I need for the audio precision. This spectrum analyzer is what we check the emissions of the power supply. This here is a raw PCB. This happens to be the slave PCB. And over there, the new power supply boards that will be built soon. And this over here, this is the heart of the amplifier. This board is tested on its own test jig. So So for the stereo amp, there's 2 of these, 1 on each channel. Okay. For them, and of course the stereo amp has slightly different components, but it's the same board basically. I mean, this is just all assembly of the various things. I have 2 ladies that come in part-time to put all the stuff on the board for me. These are little surface mount components which we use. Wow. The little tiny components.
Very small.
The power supply is the guy that uses these surface mount components. And these are not the smallest. I have even smaller than that. Here is the front panel.
Wow.
We never touch this if we can help it. This glass is crystal glass.
Ah, yes.
Wow. $100 for that piece of. So this assemblies I do very, very carefully. I don't touch the glass. I hold it. Yeah. That's $100. It takes me nearly 45 minutes to put all that together. Put the glass in and put these in. There's all these rubber pieces underneath as well. And screw carefully. You screw very carefully. Yeah. Never do it with a tool. You have to use your hand.
If the customer would like to clean the crystal parts, how to clean?
Me personally, I would use a microfiber towel and water. Distilled water. Because normal water from the faucet eats the tip, the copper of the tip. And so I keep distilled water. This here is the board that goes on the input. And so this is pre-tested just by itself.
In this testing area, we still use linear supply because I can, when I'm powering on first time, I can control it instead of flipping the switch and powering on with 120 volts in our test. But this way I can slowly monitor, turn on, and every stage, like I give like 20 volt, and then I check all the checkpoints, and I go higher, I check, and then once it's fully settled, and then all the bias and offset and stuff is set here. Showing you the distortion versus power, and it's doing from 1 watt all the way to like 300 watt or something. And then it will just keep repeating itself, and that will heat up this. So that's more like on a real test. So this is more like on a test setup. Once this is done, then these two would go to
知道咧 ，Constellation 喺每日嘅生產裏邊咧，都好多唔同嘅一啲線路板咧，都係需要做到。
Hit it up, let it cool down. Hit it up, let it cool down.